There are different ways to put a price on carbon. One is cap and trade, where you cap the total amount of emissions that companies are allowed to release, and you let them trade emissions permits among themselves. Or there's the more straightforward carbon tax, which just adds a surcharge to activities that emit carbon. The problem there is mostly the word tax, which has become a dirty word in politics. Just look what happened in Canada, which rolled out a new carbon tax that went into effect just last month. Although it was not easy for them to do that. Justin Trudeau desperately tried not to use the word tax, instead calling it a price on pollution. And when he slipped up once, just look how people reacted.
What we're also guaranteeing is that this tax, this pricing on carbon will be...
Listen to the level of excitement over that verbal slip-up. If you're a politician, you just can't say the word tax. Trudeau simply saying the word tax was described as Trudeau trips on his own words. So on one level, you can kind of understand his reluctance to use that term, because it exposed him to fear-mongering about what his policy would mean for regular people. How do you put a price on carbon and make things more expensive without harming the people who can least afford it? And what Canada's doing to address this is actually pretty simple. Very basically, they're taking the money they collect and giving it back to their citizens. They're doing this by pooling the money gathered by increased fees on things like gas and heat, dividing it up and sending it back to taxpayers as a rebate. In fact, they've designed it so that the rebates in Canada are anticipated to exceed the increased costs for about 70% of households, with lowest income households seeing the most benefits from the policy, which is great. But even with that being true, the fight over a carbon tax was and still is very difficult in Canada. It's no wonder that some politicians in this country are wary of even attempting a debate about carbon pricing.